Good evening, everyone. Welcome and thanks so much for joining us. My name is Scott Verhoeven, and I'm the Director of Operations at the Business and Education Partnership of Waterloo Region. We're a charity that helps young people explore and prepare for the world of work. And we're hosting this webinar with the Waterloo Region and Waterloo Catholic District School Boards so that you can learn more about careers in the skilled trades. We want to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we're broadcasting from today is traditionally used by the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence, deep traditional knowledge, laws, and philosophies of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today. Tonight's webinar will have three parts. First, you're going to participate in a dynamic presentation from Dr. Jon Callegher. Jon is the Executive Director of JobTalks, a research and media agency that focuses on Canadian workers. Jon is on a mission to share his research about job satisfaction in the skilled trades in an age when these jobs are in high demand. He's been invited to speak on CBC Radio, Global, National, Cityline, and at conferences across North America. Jon's also a published author, professor in the School of Marketing at George Brown College, and has a PhD in sociology from the University of Waterloo. Second, you're going to hear from local experts, Dave Pope, the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program Coordinator at the Waterloo Region District School Board, and Sedalia Taggart, Student Achievement Consultant with the Waterloo Catholic District School Board. Sedalia and Dave will tell you about steps that you can take now to explore or pursue a career in the skilled trades. Finally, we will answer your questions. You can type questions at any time through the Q&A feature in Zoom. A full recording of this session, the whole event, including the Q&A, is going to be emailed out to everyone who registered within 1 week, likely a lot less. So, without further ado, let's get started. I'm pleased to welcome to the camera Dr. Jon Callegher, Executive Director of JobTalks. Thank you for joining us, Jon.
Thank you very much, Scott. And thanks to everyone in the region, in particular the Waterloo Region, Waterloo Catholic School Boards, for their support. And of course, for parents and in particular students, any young people who are joining us today. I think there are many of you. I'm looking forward to sharing with you what I've learned as a researcher about skilled trades. And I'm looking forward to the group receiving any questions through that Q&A as I'm talking. They will get answered. And of course, to participating in any discussion when I'm finished. I'm going to have some help, everyone, by some slides. You're going to see them on your screen in a moment. It says 5 reasons for students to pursue a career in the skilled trades. And I'm going to start off by sharing something that I shared with the parent community in your region a few weeks ago, which is a question that I've shared many times in the past. It looks like this. What makes a good job? I asked this question to parents in Ontario in 2022, and the responses came out. We present them in the form of a word cloud. So when parents are asked this question, they give an answer, and the larger the word or phrase, the more common the answer. And in 2022, students, this is how parents like yours, caregivers like yours answered this question. A good job in 2022 is one where you can make a difference. You have advancement opportunities, you have good pay, it's fulfilling, have security, flexibility, benefits, low stress, good culture, work-life balance. But above all, what was revealed is that a fulfilling and good paying job was what mattered the most. And that was nice to see, to hear from parents at the time for sure. I also was able to point out to everyone who saw this slide that what you don't see from parents is any particular job. You don't see that there. In the end, what matters is that their child is well and is fulfilled in their careers. What's been happening in the last several months, I think you might be aware, changes to the workforce as a result of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and really quick changes in technology. And it's been playing out, everybody, in the satisfaction of workers and also the stability of workers throughout Ontario, throughout the country. So when I ask this question again, very only slightly differently worded, what do you think will be a good job in the future? So about 4 years later, pretty much the same question. Everybody, this is how parents answered this time around. They started, getting very specific, didn't they? As you can see here by the three largest sets of words, parents say a good job going into the future is in science, technology, engineering. This is primarily driven by answers that are related to computers and information technology. But look just underneath everyone, skilled trades, the skilled trades coming in at number two, and healthcare. Healthcare. Parents are paying attention to what stability is and security is into the future. And they're getting very real and very pragmatic. So I think that's really interesting to sort of set the table for any students here who happen to be wondering if their parents would be supportive if you came in here interested in the skilled trades already, or if you're on the fence. There's lots of evidence to show that parents are really looking closely at the skilled trades as disruption proof, AI proof careers. But more than that, there has been many challenges that have been facing younger workers. And if you're a young person watching, maybe you understand this by having spoken with a family friend or someone else in your life who is in the workforce in their 20s and 30s. You might have heard that, more and more careers, especially after COVID-19, when people started working from home, involve one being on a screen for hours and hours a day. And even before people were working from home, there are many careers where you sit at a desk in front of a screen for hours in the morning, have a quick lunch, often eating a sandwich at one's desk, continuing to eat or whether work at a desk well into the evening. And then this is something that is changing now as some careers are being asked to go back to the office. In other words, sit more in a vehicle and then sit in front of a screen. But what also is worth paying attention to is that this sort of habit is happening among younger people as well. Okay? Children, of course, teenagers, forming these habits of constantly being on one screen and sort of coaching them up and training them up for such careers in the future. Sitting is also something, again, related to being on that screen. Sitting, I like to say, is the new smoking. It's connected to all kinds of cardiovascular diseases, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and more. Prolonged sitting, that is. I can tell you a really interesting finding is that today's young people are just as active as senior citizens. Young people today are just as active as senior citizens. It's just an easy study to do. You give people Fitbits, okay, who are 20 and under, and you give seniors, 65 and older, Fitbits, and you track them, right, over 1 month, 3 months, and the data come in, and you can see their activity levels are the same. But this, of course, is a habit that's starting even younger. And even depending on the age of any student who's watching here today, you can relate to when schools increasingly started after COVID-19 offering online learning. And I can tell you, whether you're a student or a parent watching today, that many more pathways outside of high school will have options that involve not even going to a campus. Just learn from home, from your bed, from your coffee table, from your kitchen table, from a desk without ever leaving the house. And this is inevitable because it saves on money, where institutions can create opportunities for learning without having anyone actually getting up and being physically active. So those habits are being formed early as well. Another big challenge facing our younger workers and young people generally is anxiety levels are unfortunately up across all age groups, but in particular among teenagers today. We can make a very close connection between the increased requirement to be on our devices constantly and the anxiety that comes with it. Anticipating notifications, being distracted constantly, having personalized messages. And again, you know where I'm going, especially students, this is happening with younger and younger people. Nearly half of teenagers, just looking up a recent study from Pew Research, nearly half of teenagers will say that social media makes them feel worse about their body image. Another half of teenagers will say social media has had a mostly negative effect on their life. And study after study globally will make the connection between increased anxiety, depression, and psychological disorder with higher rates of social media use. Why am I spending time saying all of this? Well, as a researcher of employment and as someone who also has been keeping in touch with many young people, as a professor and watching them grow in their careers, but also deal with many frustrations, it becomes clearer and clearer that the antidote to a life that involves so much sitting, being in front of a screen, being full of anxiety, and being by oneself and not having mentorship and guidance is a job. That is the antidote and the choice of one's job. And what is very clear is that there are many careers where you must be in front of a screen, you must be constantly seated, you must be accessible and always reachable, which raises a lot of anxiety. And there are other types of careers where you could say it's the opposite of that. Or rather, there are many benefits that I'm going to talk about. And of course, that is the skilled trades. I've had the opportunity over the last 7 or 8 years to be really involved in interviewing young people in the skilled trades. I've interviewed more than hundreds of them. I'm going to give you a link when I'm finished where you can watch all the videos that I produce with young people all across the province of Ontario. I've surveyed thousands. And I've come to, through research, which I won't get into today, but you can look up other presentations by me with on the BEP's YouTube channel, where I take you through a big study on how tradespeople happen to be among the most satisfied workers in the country. And this can be explained in just a few ways. They have work-life balance. Skilled tradespeople, when they are finished their work, they leave work at work and they come home and they can have time to spend with family, friends, personal entertainment, or more. For anyone here who knows someone who works in the skilled trades, you know that if they work what's called overtime, they work more than their set hours in the week, they get paid 1.5 or 2 times their hourly rate. There are some parents who are watching today who are on salary and they don't know what that means, paid overtime. Salaried workers are quite unfamiliar with that. Skilled tradespeople, of course, start their lives in their early 20s, especially if they started younger with their educational pathway, having no student debt, as I'll talk about later, and having already made money because registered apprentices, the pathway to a skilled trade requires that that trainee, that apprentice gets paid throughout their educational journey. I'll, of course, say more about that too. So, can you, student, young person watching, can you name a skilled trade? I've asked this question to Canadians many times in unaided way, when you don't give anyone anything to choose from, you just say, name a skilled trade. The most popular answers to this question, name a skilled trade, are carpenter, plumber, and electrician. Those are the top three. I'm guessing if you answered my question to yourself, you probably said one of those. Maybe you said welder. That's number four. Did you know that there are more than 140 skilled trades? More than 140 skilled trades, and students, you can explore these skilled trades throughout the region in your high school. Right? So you have the Waterloo Region District School Board, the Waterloo Catholic District School Board, both have OYAP programs, and they break out the skilled trades into four major areas. We have a motive power skilled trades, like an auto body and collision damage repair, an auto service technician, marine engine technician, truck and coach technician. These are all video thumbnails. These are all people that I've interviewed either in an OYAP program or alumni of OYAP programs, and they're well into their completion of their apprenticeship. I've interviewed young people who have completed their apprenticeships and are well into their skilled trades. Again, I'll give you that link when I'm finished. So we have the motive power skilled trades, and we also have services. This is a broader area, like a chef, a sous chef, assistant to a chef, hairstylists, horticultural technicians, anyone interested in child and youth worker, child development practitioner. These get included in the services area of the skilled trades. Ask a co-op teacher, ask a guidance counselor for some direction there to help you identify what area of the skilled trades an area of interest of yours might fit. And then we have another area called the industrial skilled trades, massive area, tool and die makers, hydraulic, pneumatic mechanics, industrial electricians, welders, massive area of opportunity, especially, by the way, as artificial intelligence data centers need to be built to power these systems. Industrial skilled trades people are going to be in high demand and will be well compensated for it. And of course, the construction skilled trades. If you were like me before I started studying skilled tradespeople, I would have just referred to anyone with a hard hat and a vest as a construction worker. I how narrow-minded of me, right? There are so many types of construction professionals and residential construction, right? Building up homes and condos and infrastructure construction, connecting homes and communities, civil construction, those large, enormous projects. Here we have examples of more residential home building. We have general carpenters, heating, ventilation, air conditioning technicians, tile setters, insulation installers, many more in the construction skilled trades. So if you have a question about any of those, you can ask right now in the Q&A to our representatives, David and Sedalia from the school boards. They can answer that question. Maybe you want to know, hey, is this particular job a skilled trade, or what area of the skilled trade it is? Use the Q&A and take advantage, if I can use that phrase, take advantage of these representatives being here as I'm sharing information with you. So are you interested in is a question I want you to hear loud and clear in your mind. And then I'm going to give a different ending to that question. And as I read the endings, I'd like you just to say to yourself, yes or no, or kinda, I'm interested in that. And then I'm going to show you some areas in the skilled trades, all of which have videos that are connected to them, which you can look up later on, that would align with that particular interest of yours. Anyone here thinking of a future career, are you interested in making beautiful things? How many are interested in that? How about helping grow food? Anyone here interested in fixing things? How about restoration, making things old new again, restoring things? Anyone here have that interest? Anyone interested in having a job where you wake up in the morning and you know it's guaranteed you are going to make people smile every day when you go to work? How about preparing delicious food? Anyone interested in that? Anyone have an interest in working inside homes that are being built or renovated? How about getting fresh air, sunshine, working outside homes? Anyone have that interest? And who wants the power to control temperature? What do I mean by that? You'll find out in a moment. Great, everybody. So I'm going to show you now some areas of the skilled trades. And if you said, yeah, or kinda, there are some areas that in the trades that you might not have been familiar with these careers. You might want to ask a guidance counselor, co-op teacher, OYAP representative about it. So you have making beautiful things. If you said that, well, guess what? Tile setters do this all the time in their job by creating art through tile work and floors, walls, ceilings in office buildings, museums, churches, new homes that are being built, and more cabinet makers. You will one day meet someone who's very proud of their new kitchen, and they might want to celebrate that kitchen. They might also point out that they had to hire a cabinet maker, a professional, to design and install that beautiful cabinetry that they want to show off to every guest that comes into their home. That was a cabinet maker, a skilled tradesperson. Anyone interested in helping grow food? Well, horticultural technicians. agricultural equipment technicians. This is Isaac. Isaac had no experience working on a farm before, and he just happened upon it. He was interested in automotive service, but then transitioned into fixing up this larger machinery. That's Alyssa. Alyssa's in her OYAP apprenticeship. She's working at Niagara Falls Botanical Gardens, right, as a horticultural technician apprentice. Anyone interested in fixing things? Well, welders, they create by fusing metal together, but they also repair. Handyman or handy persons, they have type of job where they get work orders and they go into all kinds of fields where for example, like hotels and office buildings, schools, hospitals get work orders and have a lot of variety in their jobs. Restoration, brick and stone masons, bricklayers. That's Celeste in the top right. She's a brick and stone mason. She goes to old historical buildings and restore them for the next generation to appreciate. She also happens to spend more time working outdoors, and she really likes that. Making people smile. Some jobs do this more than others, everybody. Well, hairstylists, of course, they wake up in the morning. It's guaranteed they're going to bring a smile to people's faces every day. Pastry chefs as well. They making tasty treats. Of course, they're going to bring smiles to people's faces. And if you said you're interested in preparing delicious food, chef, I would say you put a smile on people's faces as well. Chef, sous chef, as I mentioned, that's an assistant to a chef. Pastry chef, definitely get the opportunity to create, prepare delicious food. Working inside homes, so many careers involved in this, everybody. We have there's trim carpenters, right? There's also insulation installers, carpet installers. I could say more: tapers, hardwood floor installers, drywallers, drywall finishers, and so many more careers related to working inside of homes, but also outside of homes as well. Panel installers, framers. On the left, that is Andrea. Andrea started in her school in a program called Specialist High Skills Majors. Then she discovered a passion for carpentry. Then she moved into the OYAP program at her school. And then in the OYAP program, the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, she got linked up with a company that builds luxury homes. So that's where she did her apprenticeship. She continued with that apprenticeship outside after graduating high school. Andrea today at 22, 23 years old is a full-on general carpenter. Can you believe it? Started in high school, discovered that passion, pursued it all the way through after graduating high school into a full-time job. Amazing. Controlling temperature, refrigeration, air conditioning mechanics, these giant refrigeration systems around us that we often maybe take for granted. They need to be installed and repaired. And HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. That is Jean-Pierre. Jean-Pierre goes to new housing developments, communities that are being built. And his job as a home is being built is to go in and install the heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems. Lots of variety and local travel in his job. All right, everybody, one more round, just because there are so many skilled trades. Are you interested? Any thrill seekers here interested in being at heights? Anyone interested at heights? No thanks. Rather be down below, digging the earth. Anyone interested in giving power to communities? How about working with water, controlling water, giver of life? Anyone interested in taking care of vehicles? How about being behind the wheel instead, driving big vehicles? Are you interested in using special tools? Do we have any organized people watching? Any organized students coordinating projects? How about supervising people? So again, as you look at this list, I want you to just think, or rather remember when you said, yeah, I'm interested in that kind of. And let me show you some more examples of trades careers you may not have heard of before, or that you just needed a reminder that they were available, that they existed. Being at heights, iron workers get high up in skyscrapers, stadiums, like Jamie here. She puts the steel into these structures, right, so that they don't fall down. Tower crane operators. Look at Stefan. Ever go by a construction site and see that massive uh, crane, right, in the middle or somewhere in a construction site. And it's operated by someone like Stefan here, who, by the way, look how young he is, but he's fully certified, where he gets to operate a radio and be told where to bring things from one place in the construction site to the other. But of course, he's okay with being up heights for long periods of time. That was a tough video to shoot. Digging the earth, so going from really up high to down below. How do we have tunnels and waterways and the things that happen underneath us, subway, transit systems? Someone operates a tunnel boring machine, a TBM machine that slowly bores underneath the earth. So we can have these things that we take for granted. Foundation drill rig operator operates that giant machine that you see on the left side of the screen that helps put huge pillars into the earth so that enormous structures don't fall down. Giving power to communities. Well, there are power line technicians for sure, but electricians by far very popular skilled trade, right? Also a skilled trade that happens to require among the most number of hours to complete. I think more than between 8,000 and 9,000 hours to become an electrician. Now, well, what I am really interested in when I talk to electricians is their fascination with the chase of getting the power back on when it's off. Again, that's kind of an adrenaline rush. They want to help people. And it reminds me, everybody, that one great benefit of being in the skilled trades is that skilled tradespeople absolutely help others. And in fact, especially that is most evident when there's a crisis, when there's, for example, a storm, right, or severe weather that damages people's homes. Or unfortunately, if there are ever cases when people are in serious situations and they need the help of a skilled tradesperson. Now you have first responders, you have healthcare workers, of course. We often call upon skilled tradespeople, right? Call upon an arborist, maybe to cut trees and move them out of the way so people can move safely on a road. Call upon electricians to get the power back on. Call upon brick and stone masons to fix a home. Roofers, we call upon even plumbers, of course, too, right? Those who control water. And maybe you've had that experience of someone in your household having to call a plumber to repair something in your home. I also want to point out, if you watch this video here with Josh, the plumber, who has more than 100,000 views of this video of a plumber, he explains how plumbing and often does not have to be about unclogging things, which is a common association with plumbing. Plumbing can also be entirely or very much mostly about installing new pipes and new piping fixtures in new construction projects, going again to the new data centers and other similar structures that are going to be built. Not only will they need electrical, they're going to need cooling systems as well. So when you explore plumbing, also broaden and look at piping trades, right? Piping trades. Taking care of vehicles, truck and coach technicians working on these larger vehicles, also automotive service technicians. I also want to point out there's a in-demand career called heavy equipment technician, heavy equipment mechanic, working on these larger construction vehicles that need repairing as well. Driving big vehicles. Look at Larissa and Ben here driving a bulldozer and mobile crane. Look how young they are, right? They get to work outdoors. They like that. They're paid well, especially for their age. They're happy. And they carve a path. Larissa says she likes to carve a path and she sees the results of her work immediately, which is satisfying. If anyone said they're interested in using special tools, maybe you have hand-eye coordination, precision, will trim carpenters, put the fine finishing into homes when they're near completion. Tool and die makers make specialized parts for use in other parts and machines. Again, a lot of precision required there. And those organized people, project managers, project coordinators, they work alongside skilled trades people, kind of skilled trades adjacent careers. And supervising people, right? Supervising people. We have health and safety managers, site supervisors, Many skilled tradespeople can start out, as they say, on the tools and move into supervisory roles, management, health and safety related roles. So a skilled trades career, everybody, starts with an apprenticeship. An apprenticeship, and just to give a clean, simple explanation, an apprenticeship is when someone learns a skilled trade under the direction of a mentor. Okay, a mentor. And they get also paid while going to class and while working. That is a nice benefit. And if you happen to be watching this with a parent and they have post-secondary education, maybe a college diploma or university degree, ask them, did you get paid the entire time you were in your post-secondary pathway? There's a good chance, unless it was an apprenticeship, the answer is no. They had to graduate and then think about cutting the check for their education. So that's just one of 5 reasons to pursue a career in the skilled trades. And I'm going to come back to that issue of getting paid at the end. But I'm going to start with reason number 1, which is students, you get early work experience. Early work experience. There are, if you're watching this and you're in your teens, there's a great way to get experience today that is just like most other teenagers type of experience. Serving coffee, folding clothes, maybe making deliveries. These is good work experience, teaches punctuality, time management, all those good things. But arguably, it is not unique, doesn't make one stand out on a stack of resumes with other young people of a similar age who have the same experience. What I really like is that the OYAP program offers young people the opportunity to get early and unique work experience. I want you to hear from 3, in this case, 3 young women, 15, 16 years old, in their Motive Power apprenticeship, just talking about the benefits they get in terms of early work experience. Here we go. This is the first clip I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you some video clips now.
At my apprenticeship as an electrician, we test wire connections and voltages, troubleshoot electrical issues, and wire electronic components.
I'm currently working in the wood mill, and a lot of what I'm doing right now is just observing different types of work, different machines, how they work, how to use them safely, and all aspects of carpentry.
What I like most about my apprenticeship is the learning experience. I've learned a lot of things that I would otherwise never get the chance to learn in a classroom setting, and it's been a really unique experience.
You heard at the end, learning something that you would otherwise not learn in a classroom setting, getting a unique experience. There may be some people saying, yeah, but I'm not interested in that. I want to work smarter, not harder. I like this. I heard it before. It rhymes. Work smarter, not harder. I can appreciate what the meaning behind this is. Work more efficiently or get something done, and then you can kick up your feet and relax. Oftentimes, that just results in more sitting and spending time scrolling. But it also is something that the more we repeat it, the more I really believe this, devalue hard work. And we can forget, everybody, that the people who we actually admire, I was mentioning a few weeks ago that, the Olympics, right? The Olympics now, the Olympics have finished. But in the Olympics, anyone who got there is someone who worked hard, right? They worked hard to get to where they were. If you ever had a poster of someone, in your room, someone you admire, there's a good chance that person got to where they were, whether they're a musician, an artist, a business person, even a politician, whoever it is, they got to where they were by working both smarter and harder. And that, I believe, is where excellence lies. So we should celebrate working hard, and we should recognize that young people in Ontario who started in the skilled trades, and I have, hundreds of interviews with young people that provide evidence for that, by working smarter and harder, they're advancing in their careers. They are, as a result, being paid more and more. Some are even starting their own businesses, which I'll show you in a moment, becoming young leaders as well, and making their parents really proud along the way. Applied learning is another great reason to think about pursuing an apprenticeship, especially if you, student watching right now, if the way you learn, you prefer instead of reading and writing and memorizing, you prefer more to sort of touch and tinker and figure things out, prefer more hands-on applied learning. Uh, this is something that is not just a benefit, but it's integrated into apprenticeship training. It is hands-on learning. It's the hands-on application of intelligence, of the patterns that you notice when you're being taught something, and then you apply them. Skilled trades people who are in apprenticeship programs, right? They prefer hands-on learning. They see real-world problems. They like to solve problems out in the real world. How do we get water from far away and bring it into an entire community? How do we take ingredients that are so distinct and fuse them together to make something delicious and nutritious? How do we build roads and bridges so that we can have an economy, so that we can see each other face to face in all kinds of weather? How does the electrical grid work? How do you cut and layer hair? All these questions are answered, right, by someone who has not only just a theory-based knowledge, right, of how to do something, but a practical knowledge, right, a hands-on applied knowledge of solving problems for people in the real world. So I want you to hear, or rather, I just want to point out that the application of intelligence, whether it is math and science or problem solving, hand-eye coordination, getting to work with tools and machines, being creative, are all addressed in skilled trades careers. Skilled trades people absolutely get to apply math and science rather than just writing about it in a notebook, right? They get to apply problem solving out in the real world, apply hand-eye coordination, get to work with tools and machines, even AI-powered tools and machines in the future, and apply creativity and artistic skills. So I want you to hear now my second clip from two young people talking about the benefits they get of learning and working with their hands. Here we go, second clip.
The thing I like most about being an apprentice is you get to do both. You not only get to stand back and watch the mechanics, but you also get to be with them. You get to stand beside the mechanic and learn how they're doing it. You get to learn information that isn't in your textbook. You get to learn hands-on material that no one can teach you but a mechanic.
One interesting thing about the trades is the variety of work that I get to do, from the type of material I work on, the tools I use, or the jobs I'm doing. Every day there's something different, and I'm always working on something new.
I hope you heard Connor, general machinist, at the end say, every day something different, every day something new. Connor and many young people in skilled trades, they get to be out and about in the world, not at a desk day after day after day. Another great reason to pursue the apprenticeship pathway is the structured co-op support that students you would get if you start in the OYAP program. So you enroll in the OYAP program in your school through co-op. And that means you have the benefit of the whole organization, the system, but also the people who are involved, co-op teachers who will check in with you and make you feel supported. It's another great opportunity for me to remind anyone who didn't hear earlier to look for the Q&A button on your screen, Q&A button. And if you have any questions, especially about your region, whether you're in the public or Catholic board, about opportunities with apprenticeship pathways, please take advantage of the opportunity right now and ask some questions, and you will get answered. I know people are working in the background as I'm talking. So I want you to hear my third clip from two young people, Kia, she's an electrician apprentice, and Brock, he's a marine engine technician apprentice working on motorized watercraft. Hear them talking about the support that they get while they are on their apprenticeship. Again, in high school, they're splitting their time from classroom and being out in the world, earning their hours toward apprenticeship. Here we go. Third clip.
I secured my co-op placement by talking to my co-op teacher, Mr. Polillo, and expressing I wanted to try a career in the trades. He brought me to the owner, Kyle, and he gave me an interview and then brought me onto Arc Electrical. Mr. Polillo supported me during my placement by checking on me, making sure that I was okay. He does visits with us just to make sure that we're safe and happy with our placements, and he made sure that this was the right choice for me.
My co-op teacher supported me by always staying in contact with me, especially throughout the first few weeks of the co-op, making sure that I enjoyed it and that it was something I wanted to do, as well as she also texted me throughout the co-op to let me know that if I wasn't enjoying it, there are other options that I can explore.
I hope you heard Brock at the end say if he wasn't enjoying something, basically he could try something else. That is also an important point about the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, to try out, students, try out a skilled trade. Exposure to business, another great reason to pursue the apprenticeship pathways, that on an apprenticeship you see in the real world what people are willing to trade their hard-earned money for. They're willing to trade their money for a specialist to do work that they aren't unable to do. But also, if you're working or learning in a smaller shop or medium-sized shop, you might have touch points with the owner or someone who's close to the owner and learn about inventory, customer relationship management, and more. In the next clip, I'm going to show you my second last clip. This is, you're going to hear from two people who were younger people. They were in the OYAP program. Then they finished high school after completing OYAP, and then they became full tradespeople in their field, started their own businesses, and are now hiring people from their school board. Full circle story with OYAP. And you'll also hear from two young women who are really interested in the opportunity to be successful business people in the skilled trades. Here we go. This is my second last clip.
When I was in high school, the apprenticeship program taught me a lot of things like patience, perseverance, and risk-taking. Now that I have my own business, I decided to partner with OYAP because I think it's a great way to get the students out of the classroom and into the workforce.
All throughout high school, I was very hands-on mechanical. I took auto body and automotive, did a co-op program in each. I found that automotive was more interesting to me, found that that was my direction in the trades, and started an apprenticeship right after high school. As an employer, we partnered with OYAP to bring youth into our trade. I feel that the trade needs young people being injected into it, and at that time this is the best way to bring people out of school seamlessly into our apprenticeship programs.
What made me interested in the skilled trades was the opportunity to start your own business and to be financially free at a younger age.
I love the people I'm working with and I'm learning something new every day. What I hope to do in the future is have my own women's masonry company where I can teach women the craft but also introduce girls into the trade.
I really love hearing these kinds of stories. Last reason, everyone, to pursue a skilled trades apprenticeship while in high school is that through a registered apprenticeship, which can happen in high school, you can earn while learning. So earning while learning, that's a rhyme that I like. Did you know the average tuition debt at graduation in Ontario from college is $16,800, and from university it's $30,800. More than half of Ontario post-secondary graduates will have some significant tuition debt. And the way that plays out is seen in the headlines. Here are some more recent ones in Canada. We have global news, 92% of Ontario students stressed about money. CBC, the struggle is real for Gen Z students, the numbers don't lie. Financial Post, Canadian debt hits new record, and millennials and Gen Z are leading the way. What's driving that debt? It's tuition debt, and it's housing mortgage-related debt. Now, of course, that creates anxiety. It amplifies anxiety, especially among younger people. And, it doesn't have to be that way. There are people who just simply even weren't aware not long ago that apprenticeship was a viable and available post-secondary pathway, and the tuition fee for it is much less than the more commonly known college or university pathways. So the tuition fee for a registered apprenticeship that does not require university, it's called the ministry classroom fee. between $400 and $600 per year. Can you believe it? Now, maybe there's someone watching who's sharp and they say, actually, I thought it was free. Well, it is technically free, isn't it? Because apprentices on their learning journey must be paid. And therefore, they can pay back easily the $400, $600 in ministry classroom tuition fee. And the rest goes maybe to pay off other expenses and maybe even put money into the bank. And by the time they graduate, by the time they finish their learning journey, they will have made money and are not concerned about paying back tuition debt, which many other young people are doing. And I know a lot of those young people wish that they knew about apprenticeship before making a big, expensive post-secondary pathway decision. So everybody, all on one screen, reasons to pursue a skilled trades apprenticeship starting in high school, get early work experience, applied learning, get structured co-op support, exposure to business, and of course, earn while learning, whether it's the motive power, services, industrial, or construction skilled trades. There are several touch points for all of you. You can take tech courses as early as you can, get familiar with what you maybe like and maybe don't like. There's specialist high skills majors. There's dual credit, all of which have different opportunities, different connections to the skilled trades, depending on your school and your board. But then the OYAP program, right? The OYAP program where you can learn a skilled trade starting in high school. The average apprentice, everybody, in Ontario is 29 years old. 29 years old. That means if a young person starts their apprenticeship in high school, right, they have like 10, 12-year head start on the average apprentice in Ontario. That is incredible. So I want to leave you with this final clip, and then we're going to have you ask any questions and get some questions answered by Scott and Sedalia and the Public and Catholic Board. This is my final clip. I think it's a great endorsement, again, from those three young women that you heard from the beginning of the OYAP program. Here we go. Final clip.
When I started my apprenticeship, my family supported me because they knew it was the best option for me as a hands-on learner. And I've always done better in my tech classes than I did the academic ones, and the trades gives me a hands-on experience.
Overall, my friends and family were very supportive. A lot of my academic friends were a little bit confused at this decision at first, but once they saw what I do and how I work, they understood that this is the best option for me.
Thanks to OYAP, I've made so many connections, which I hope to use in the future to be able to get a full-time apprenticeship.
I'd recommend OYAP to other students because it's an awesome experience and you get to learn a lot about working in a workplace and about yourself while you're doing it.
I would recommend OYAP to other students because I think it's very important to explore all opportunities before making a decision.
Could not have said it better myself. Thank you very much, everyone. YouTube.com/JobTalks, as promised, where you can access all those videos of young people all across Ontario. I think in keeping with the agenda, I will hand it back to Scott. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, John. Really appreciate you sharing those insights from your research. Before we take questions from John, our school board representatives are going to add a little bit more about what students could be doing now to get started or exploring in trades. So I'm going to welcome to the camera Sedalia Taggart, a student achievement consultant with the Waterloo Catholic District School Board, and Dave Pope, OYAP, or the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program Coordinator with the Waterloo Region District School Board. Dave, Sedalia, over to you.
Thank you, Scott. We've been feverishly trying to answer questions. Hopefully you can hear me okay too as well. Last time my mic didn't work, so okay, we're good. We've been feverishly answering questions in the Q&A, so we've answered over 40 questions so far, so it's been great, lots of great questions. The one question that always comes up, and we try to do our best to answer all the time, which is how do you get into OYAP? And OYAP is co-op. So when you're doing course selection for grade 11 or 12, you don't choose OYAP. It's not an option there. It is, you just have to choose co-op. So co-op lets you try any career you would like within reason while you're still in high school. And then if the career that you're choosing is in the skilled trades, then your co-op teacher will hand you an OYAP form, which basically you you end up being an OYAP participant. So it allows you to try a skilled trade while you're in co-op. And then there's that opportunity to potentially be signed as an apprentice during your co-op placement. And that's something that your co-op teacher will talk with you about, and then we'll talk about with your employer about to potentially do that step. Not all employers will sign as apprentices. It's based on how well you do while you're there and their personal preference and if they're able to sign. So there's lots of factors in there. So there's no guarantee that you get signed as an apprentice, but it is an option. So again, taking co-op is really important. And then the other question that we get a lot is like, well, how do I, if I'm thinking of pursuing a skilled trade in grade, as I'm going through grade 9 and 10, what should I do? So taking as many tech courses as you can is really helpful. So all tech courses kind of help build hands-on skills, working with different materials, different tools. So even if it's not directly related to a trade that you're interested in, is taking as many tech courses as possible is definitely a high recommendation. And then other courses that we highly recommend is making sure that you take a grade 12 math and always making sure you're taking lots of good math courses. And then entrepreneurship. So I think there was a question in the chat as well, but a lot of skilled trade workers end up being their own business owners. So they go through their apprenticeship, they become a journey person, and then they might want to start their own company at some point. So having entrepreneurship is a really good idea and something that you should also consider taking while you're in high school. Ms. Taggart, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Hi there. I'm just trying to get caught up on the questions here. I think you covered it all. For students in the Waterloo Catholic District School Board, you have access to a program called Our Republic when taking co-op, and that is a storage tool for all of your co-op related documents. So when you graduate, you need to make sure that you take all those documents with you. But otherwise, talking to the guidance counselor at the school or co-op teachers, they'll give you more information about the programs that are available. And then Dave, there was a question in the chat about a program that we don't offer. And I wonder if you've answered it already.
I think you're talking about the Fast Forward program.
Fast Forward program, yes.
Yes, so that one's come up a few times is yes, if a student is in the Fast Forward program in the Waterloo Region District School Board, yes, you can still take co-op. So it's just during course selection, make sure you talk to your guidance counselor, and yes, you can take co-op and try a career while you're in high school. And then one other thing that you should definitely consider is if you're thinking of the skilled trades as your pathway in post-secondary, is definitely making sure you get your driver's license as soon as possible, because a lot of the trades, especially in the construction sector, you're not necessarily at the same place every single day. You might be moving from job to job and doing other things. And having your driver's license is a huge benefit, and it will definitely help you with finding a job even after you've graduated, if you have that right away as soon as you can. And then I will just add one other thing before we go to the Q&A is, again, if you are taking co-op and that's what we're trying to kind of, I'll say, pressure you into that pathway is even if it's not a skilled trade that you're interested in, is just trying a career while you're in high school, is making sure that while you're in co-op, you take really detailed daily logs or weekly logs, whatever your co-op teacher is asking you to do, because those will definitely come in handy in the future when you have to prove to your future employer what skill sets you learned and what jobs and activities and things that you did during your co-op placement. So it might be a bit of a pain to actually keep detailed logs, but if you do that, you'll be very thankful in the future.
That's great. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dahlia, for getting in front of those possible questions there. I'm seeing that there's a couple here that have come in the Q&A that you haven't answered yet, following up on some of the things you mentioned here. So for example, someone's asked, if you go into the skilled trades, do you have to have entrepreneur skills? This Dahlia's writing an answer, but if you want to say it out loud, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that live. That's fine. Is you don't have to, and not all trade workers end up starting their own businesses, but if that's a potential thing that you might think you want to do at some point, it doesn't hurt to have that extra course under your belt just to give you an idea of how to navigate that if you cross it in the future.
There's a question about a driver's permit. Would a driver's permit help just as much as a G2 or a full G? you would have to be able to drive by yourself if you're going to be going to a job site. And often job sites are changing all the time. So you might be at a location in the morning and then at a different location in the afternoon. So it's ideal to have a valid driver's license and to have own transportation. So I'm not all that familiar with the IB program, as Waterloo Catholic doesn't have IB programming at any of our secondary schools, but I do know that the Waterloo region does have IB programming at Cameron Heights. I'm not sure if Dave is able to answer that.
Yeah, we have IB at a couple of our schools, and yes, students can still take co-op while they're doing IB. May be difficult to fit it in your timetable, and that's where potentially summer school co-op might be the option for you if you still want to take co-op and you're in the IB program and you're having a hard time fitting everything in.
Someone's asked, what if you don't have a driver's license for co-op?
So co-op is a little bit different because when a co-op teacher is trying to find a student a placement, they are keeping in mind that transportation is a barrier. Not only that, because students don't have their own vehicle at that age sometimes, but also because if they're doing half-day co-op, they need to return to the school for courses. Either AM or PM. So co-op teachers do try to find students placements that are either near the school or near their home. So that would be a conversation that a student would have with the co-op teacher at the beginning of the semester. And this is something that is very important to talk about, and co-op teachers bring this up often, is transportation. And so the student needs to be clear with the teacher what their access is to having their own transportation. And if not, if they're going to be relying on public transit, or if they're going to be biking to the placement, or if they're walking, they need to make that clear to the co-op teacher so that they can find them a placement that is reasonable.
Got a couple other questions here. We've got a couple more minutes as well. Someone's asked, what tech course should I take to become an electrician and give me an edge and extra information?
Sure, I can answer that. I will say your construction courses are probably the closest link to electrical. Electrical is one of the units that you would do in a construction class. So that would probably be the closest. But tech design is great because you're learning many different design techniques and different software. So there's, like I said, even if the tech course isn't directly related, you're learning materials and tools, but construction would be your best option because electrician is in the construction sector.
There's a question there that I really would like to answer from Carter Ward. What are the odds of a construction site having me for only a 2-credit co-op? That is a great question. And we definitely try to get students who are serious about the trades and about getting that experience at a job site to have full day co-op. It's really important to be able to have that flexibility in the hours, to not have to leave midday to rush back for your courses, because that's not really how the construction world works. So employers will be more available to students who are able to dedicate the full day. So that means that you'll have to plan out your timetable and make sure that you are making room for full day co-op, and then your chances will increase significantly.
Thanks, Ayla. We've got maybe another minute here for time for maybe these questions. Someone's asked, is fashion design a trade or interior design?
They are not, but if you look in the service sector, there's a couple that are related to, so there's native clothing and crafts artisan. There is a couple in there that are somewhat related to that. So I would definitely check out the service sector for some of those. And the one question that I would like to answer in the chat as well is related to engineering. So I get the question all the time because lots of people have that idea that I want to be an engineer, but what they're not thinking of is there's actually a lot of different types of engineers. So if you just have the idea of, I want to be an engineer, well, there's electrical engineers, there's civil engineers, there's mechanical engineers. There is many different types of engineers. So you have to really know what you're asking when you're to say, is engineering a skilled trade? Is they're related to skilled trades, and many of them are and many of them aren't. So make sure if you think you want to be an engineer, you really need to know what type of engineer you think you want to be.
That's a great insight, Dave. And I think that probably applies to this question about project management as well, right? There's lots of different kinds of projects that one can manage, and you could learn those skills in a lot of different ways. Could be in a trade, could be in an engineering program, could be entirely different kinds of projects. Think IT, et cetera, et cetera. So list goes on and on. We've hit our time here. Does anyone have any final words they want to say? Sedalia, Dave, John, I'll give you a second here if there's anything else you want to add.
I'll just
No, I
mention
would just.
that. Sorry, I was just going to say any unanswered questions in the chat, we will send that with the recording. Probably within a week, you'll get a copy of the recording, but we'll also type out all the answers to any unanswered questions and make sure that's included.
Yes, and while we've offered a lot of information tonight, don't forget that if you're going to a secondary school, there are resources available at the school for you to access. Your guidance counselor, guidance counselors communicate with us all the time. If there is something they don't know, they reach out to us. We give them information they can pass on to you. Your co-op, the co-op department is a huge resource for students at the secondary school. So go to your co-op teachers, ask them questions. They will be able to tell you about opportunities in different placements. And then talk to your technology teachers as well. They have a lot of experience. A lot of them are industry professionals who have worked in those trades, and they will be able to tell you information of what they've experienced and how they got into the trade, and they will be able to provide guidance as well.
John, you said so much already, so many good things. Is there anything else you wanted to say based on what you heard in the questions?
To be honest, just honored to be the opening act for David and Sedalia, and I don't think we've ever seen this many questions in the years we've been doing this, and I think that's a great evidence for the way things are changing. And I congratulate all students for being here and really taking charge of their future and their educational pathway.
That's well said. So, well, I want to thank John, David, Sedalia as well for sharing such important insight with everyone tonight. We hope that this event has helped you folks better understand the benefits of learning as career and skilled trades, and perhaps identified some next steps that you can take to continue exploring. Please let us know in a survey that's going to be circulated in the next couple of days, along with a recording and resources from our partners, some of which you see here in the chat as well. So thank you, everyone. Goodbye and good luck.